welcome to AnimeStar Recaps. Do not forget to subscribe and like the video for more. Akane Nishino is a well-known actress who gets along well with her classmates. However, this is actually a fake character she created following an event in which a fan abducted and touched her. She is actually very angry and hates everyone, especially her classmate Minoru Kajino, who hardly notices her existence. To improve his strength, Kajino is seen carrying weights in his backpack. Nishino is abducted by bandits who want to take her for ransom. They are stopped by Kajino dressed as a masked hero calling himself Stylish Ruffian Slayer. But when they witness Slayer utilize 2 crowbars, they realize he is actually a formidable fighter who can destroy gangs on his own. Nishino is freed when Slayer beats both guys. Nishino suspects Kajino, but Kajino is killed by a truck a few days later. Through flashbacks, Kajino explains how he's spent his entire life wanting to be a secret mastermind managing society in the shadows to protect the innocent. Kajino is then reincarnated in another world with supernatural powers, where he wants to fulfill his dream of ruling society as the Eminence in Shadow. It begins with Kajino being reincarnated as Sid Kagenu, the son of nobles Baron and Lady Kagenu. He also have an elder sister named Claire. Sid trains in secret and continues his vigilante lifestyle by slaying criminals, as he did in his former life. Sid discovers a live ball of flesh and cures the curse that has affected it, restoring it to its rightful form, an elf girl. To amuse himself, Sid, as Eminence in Shadow, tells the girl that she is a descendant of historic heroes who killed the demon Diablos, but a cult is attempting to restore Diablos. Believing his lies, the girl decides to join his Shadow Garden cult resistance squad. Sid names her Alpha, although he is secretly happy that Alpha believed his made-up lie. Claire is unexpectedly abducted 3 years later. Alpha, who has now enlisted the help of 6 other females to form the Shadow 7, locates Claire and verifies she was abducted by the cult of Diablos. Sid believes the girls are only pretending to believe him. He is also unaware that the cult actually exists. The cult plans Claire to be Diablo's host body when he comes back to life. Sid leads the invasion and they slaughter majority of the cult members. Claire flees amid the chaos and afterwards goes to attend Midgar Academy as planned, unaware that Sid was involved. Sid, who is still unaware of what happened, is taken aback when Alpha and the other Shadows unexpectedly announce their departure. The Shadow 7 split off to pursue the demon cult all around the world. Sid thinks they just grew up and got tired of his game. He attends the same academy as Claire, where he makes an effort not to stick out, even picking 2 normal students, Skell and Poe, as buddies. To make up for failing an exam, Sid is made to publicly embarrass himself and declare his love to Princess Alexia. He is shocked when Alexia accepts to be his girlfriend. Alexia brings Sid to her fencing class, where he learns that Alexia is supposed to marry to royal fencing teacher Zenon, but she does not want to marry him. Sid accepts to keep their false relationship in exchange for cash, fully aware that he is being exploited and that Alexia is secretly cruel and selfish. After 2 weeks, Alexia acknowledges that despite how much effort she invests into sword training, she is not as good as her sister, Iris. Sid says that he actually respects and likes her sword skill. Alexia becomes enraged and terminates their fake friendship. The following day, Zenon discovers Alexia has vanished and arrests Sid as a suspect in her disappearance. Alexia's blood is taken by a cult scientist who believes it contains demon DNA, as she is being held in a cell close to a girl who has undergone genetic mutations. Sid is tortured for Alexia's whereabouts by knights, but having trained himself to endure pain, he pretends to be a pitiful but dumb NPC, thinking it makes him appear cool. Princess Iris orders Sid's release after 5 days. Sid is informed by Alpha when she reappears that they have kept an eye on the demon cult while expanding Shadow Garden's influence. Sid is impressed that Alpha and her fellow Shadows still pay him visits to continue their role-playing game, despite the fact that Shadow Garden has grown into a strong organization. Alpha intends to retrieve Alexia with 114 troops. Sid plays along to entertain himself since he knows Alexia has been kidnapped but believes it was by corrupt knights, and that the 114 troops are only background actors recruited by Alpha. Sid slaughters the knights who tortured him, while his army hunts for Alexia. The scientist furiously injects Alexia's blood into the mutant girl, who transforms into a demon, destroys the scientist, and then releases Alexia. Alexia meets Zenon, who explains that he handed her to the cult in order for him to be elevated to a high-ranking knight. Alexia launches an attack, but Zenon easily beats her. Unexpectedly, Sid shows up. Zenon recognizes Sid as the mastermind of previous cult attacks and names himself a major member of the cult. The demon girl terrorizes the city and battles Iris. Alpha presents herself to Iris as a Shadow Garden member, defeats the demon, and then vanishes. Sid easily defeats Xenon in a fight. Alexia, who is unaware he is Sid in disguise, is fascinated by his sword style. Xenon takes pills that make him demonic, but Sid sets off a magic explosion that melts everything in the radius to atoms, slaying Xenon and destroying majority of the evacuated city. Alexia rejoins Iris, determined to achieve her chosen sword technique. Alexia, remembering that Sid enjoys her sword style, she offers to be his actual girlfriend now that Xenon is destroyed, but when he rejects her immediately, she punishes him viciously. Alpha returns to the investigation of a criminal organization posing as Shadow Garden. Iris conducts a thorough kingdom investigation into the Shadow Garden and the cult of Diablos. Sid encounters a girl with pink hair. The fake Shadow Garden begins slaughtering people. When a cult relic is discovered, Iris hands it to Sherry, the kingdom's most intelligent researcher, who has pink hair. Sid's buddies Poe and Skell accompany him to a fresh department store, where it is revealed that Sid's subordinate Gamma built the store to support Shadow Garden, which now has outposts in every city across the world. Sid is impressed, but is once again certain Gamma is acting, unaware of the fact that he now owns hundreds of stores, which would make him one of the richest men in the world. The newest Shadow, is also introduced to him. Sid discovers Alexia fighting multiple criminals on his way home, so he saves her, slaughters the criminals, and gives one of the survivor to New for questioning. Gaunt Knight, the criminal's boss, confirms they found the relic. Alexia verifies that Shadow Garden is not the group slaughtering everyone, while Iris believes that they are still enemies of the realm. Skell confesses to a girl using chocolate from Sid's store, but is chastised by her fiancé. Poe confesses to a girl as well, but gets imprisoned as a stalker. Sid decides to offer the leftover chocolate to whomever, which happens to be Sherry. Her foster father, Vice Principal Ruslan, warns the innocent Sherry that the chocolates were most likely intended as a love proposal, and that she should decide immediately so that Sid is not kept waiting. New informs Sid that the criminal she questioned was a standard cult soldier. Rex, one such soldier, is in town on a cult assignment. Sid is nervous since Skell and Poe have enrolled him in the Academy's sword tournament in order for him to amaze the girls. Sid battles student president Princess Rose during the festival, and, while still pretending to be a secret hero with hidden abilities, fake injuries many times. Rose is ultimately declared the winner, although she is inspired by Sid's battling spirit. Sherry requests Sid to be friends before they discuss dating, but Sid has forgotten who Sherry is and prefers to simply avoid her. Sherry wants to know about Alexia's relationship with Sid and is relieved when Alexia admits that their relationship was a lie. However, Alexia is secretly angry that another woman is attracted to Sid. An election is called to fill an open position on the student council. Gaunt Knight constructs an anti-magic barrier, allowing the false Shadow Garden to seize control of the academy. Rose tries to fight, but without her power, she is nearly killed, and Sid is injured while foolishly racing to protect her. Sid jumped at the opportunity to appear cool while battling terrorists, and had saved Rose in order to appear heroic. Rose believes Sid sacrificed himself because he loves her. Sid quietly cures himself as the students are led to the auditorium. Rex confronts Sherry in order to acquire the relic, but Iris Crimson Knights assist her in escaping. Sid starts slaughtering terrorists and rescues Sherry. Sherry discovers the relic that is causing the barrier, the Eye of Avarice, which collects magic and bursts when it is full. Sid deduces that the cult is using the eye to slay the students and keep them from becoming knights. The item Sherry has been looking for is the eye's control unit, and she thinks it may prevent the explosion. Sid volunteers to retrieve the tools he needs from her room. Rex alerts Gaunt Knight that someone is destroying their troops, and Gaunt Knight believes it is the true Shadow Garden. Gaunt Knight's actual objective is to be restored into the Knights of Round. Sid executes Rex. New sees Marco, her former fiancé, as the lone remaining Crimson Knight and considers killing him. Sid holds off New and her other shadows from striking the terrorists until Sherry is ready with the control relic. New chooses to keep Marco alive. Sherry deactivates the eye and its barrier by activating the control relic. Sid, dressed as Eminence, comes and begins slaying the terrorists with his army of shadows. Iris is furious that Shadow Garden looks to be behind the attack. Sid discovers Gaunt Knight destroying Sherry's research and learns that he is Ruslan, Sherry's adoptive father. Ruslan reveals that he was once a great swordsman before becoming weakened by an illness. He developed a friendship with the woman researching the eye, Sherry's mother, believing it could cure him. When she became too terrified to continue her research, Ruslan murdered her and took Sherry as a hostage in order to complete the necessary research. Ruslan combines the eye and the control relic to restore his sword skills. Ruslan boasts that he has framed Shadow Garden for all of his wrongdoings since Sid is still the stronger swordsman. Unworried, Sid slays Ruslan in front of Sherry. Shadow Garden is now labeled as a terrorist organization by the kingdom. Sherry tells Sid that she will miss him, but now that Ruslan is no longer alive, she has decided to move to a scientific research school to pursue her new dream. Sid asks questions about her new dream. She swears it is a secret, but her black aura implies it is evil. Alpha contacts Sid and requests that he visit the sacred city of Lindworm. Alpha also assigns missions to Beta, Epsilon, and Nu. Alexia and Iris go to Sid's department shop while in Lindworm for the goddess trial. Sid pretends he have not recovered from the damage he sustained while rescuing Rose. Rose promises to recognize his feelings by becoming his girlfriend, even following Sid to Lindworm despite him not wanting her to. Sid explains that the major religion of Lindworm is the worship of goddess Beatrix, who granted power to the 3 legendary heroes. Rose thinks that if Sid wins the trials, her father will agree to their marriage. Sid, mistakenly believing she is attempting to convert him to Beatrix's worship, resists her attempts to woo him. In Lindworm, Sid sees Beta as the well-known novelist Natsume. Beta hands Sid his mission briefing, which is written in an old language. Rose misinterprets Sid's enthusiasm as a love of history and languages, while in fact Sid is blown away by Beta's newest role-playing event for him. A criminal assassinates the Bishop Drake, and while Epsilon slays one of his men, the killer flees. Sid goes to a hot spring. Alexia is already there. Alexia, hiding her shame, explains that the goddess trial consists of challengers battling the ghosts of famous warriors. Alexia is preoccupied with the assassination of the Archbishop and urges Sid to help by joining the Crimson Knights, which Sid declines before casually leaving. Archbishop Nelson, who is also Alexia's top suspect in Drake's murder, temporarily suspends her investigation. Alexia meets Beta and her Natsume character, and they both dislike each other right away. When no famous warriors appear to combat them, many fighters are ashamed, indicating they are worthless opponents. Sid is unexpectedly introduced as the next challenger, his registration fee secretly purchased by Rose to demonstrate Sid's talent to her father. To avoid showing his might or embarrassing himself by staging a humiliating defeat, Sid enters the trial as Eminence, his presence calling Aurora the Calamity Witch, whom Nelson describes as the greatest witch in history. Alexia realizes that if Aurora materialized before Eminence, he may be the most terrifying man on the planet. Sid beats Aurora but is dissatisfied with how simple the battle was, so he exits. The arena barrier collapses unexpectedly, and a new summoning spell is triggered in response to Sid's deeds, impressing the spectators. The last number of your like is who powers you get. Comment who you got. Don't forget to subscribe for more anime recaps.